Hello and welcome to Market House, the podcast where we talk all things Disney. My name's Caleb.
And I'm Caitlin.
And this week we talk about Magic Keys coming back.
The OG Haunted Mansion returns.
And we share everything about our Disneyland trip prep. Let's dive in. All right, and this is episode number 162.
Welcome back, as always, everybody.
Welcome back. It has been quite the week.
The best week.
We actually just got back from our trip to Disneyland in Anaheim, California.
So fun.
It was a very good time. We will not be talking about it today. Come back next week for that trip report. This week we're talking about something else, but spoiler alert, we had a great time. It's always a fun time down there. It's pretty hard to have a less than good time at Disneyland, right? It's the most, the happiest place on earth. The East Coast is the most magical place on earth.
Yeah, I feel like you could mix magical and happiest for Disneyland,
Yeah.
at least for us.
Yeah, it is so good. We love that park. We love everything about it. It's just a good time. So that was a successful trip. We are now back home after about 12 loads of laundry and catching up on some sleep and what have you. We are here. Yeah, so having a good time. Hey, folks at home that use TikTok, we used it for a very short time, and then I was like, this is scary addictive, and so I haven't used it since. I don't know if you have. But
No, I haven't.
No, but for all you users, I guess, it was a sad day for a minute, and then about 6 or 8 hours later, it's
Seriously.
back. It's wild.
Literally, my entire social media, like on Instagram, it's all about, oh my gosh, TikTok's gone. Oh my gosh, CapCut, it's not working. And then literally tonight, it's like, oh my gosh, I can get on TikTok. It's just crazy, like the attitude change.
I know.
So
we'll see what happens with that. That is just a drama unfolding. We're having fun watching just how all that plays out. It's wild. It's insane what these social media companies, the grasp they have on us. The grip.
I know.
Well,
it's like if they shut down Instagram, that would just be
And at the end of the day,
crazy.
I get the argument, all of the above. I don't want to get into politics or anything, but at the end of the day, all of them are doing the same thing. It's just one is going to a different country and our data is being basically scraped and stolen from American companies over here. So all of them are nefarious in their own ways.
Right.
But anyways, that's just a whole thing. Hopefully you are recovered from your forced TikTok break and are now enjoying the app again if you use it. So that's been our lives. Let's dive into this episode. We have a Patreon, markethousepodcast.com/support is where you can support the show. A huge shout out to all of our supporters over on Patreon. You are amazing. Thank you so much for supporting the show every week. If you go over there and it's about a price of a coffee every month, you can get some exclusive content. And again, you directly support the show that way. So thanks to those who do that. Also, if you want to leave a review on Apple Podcast or Spotify, both are a gigantic help to the show. You can leave a 5-star rating over on Spotify and a 5-star rating plus a written review over on Apple Podcast. It means the world. We read them off here on the show, and it makes Caitlin very, very happy. So if you can take a few minutes to do that, that'd be amazing. And I think that's it. That's our spiel. Yeah. All right, let's get into the news.
Let's do it. All right, for our first news story, we have some super exciting news. Magic Keys are available for purchase on Wednesday, January 22nd.
Yeah, that's like in a couple of days. By the time you're hearing this is crazy, crazy stuff. So no earlier than 9 a.m. is the usual thing. So 9 a.m. Pacific time, you should be able to purchase these things again. So if you're not aware or in tune with Disney news, Magic Keys used to be on sale all of the time. Any day of the week, you can purchase one. They never really sold out. In recent years, post-pandemic, they made them limited. So limited amount, and you can only buy, the volume is not public. We don't know how many they sell, but I don't know. I don't even know how people get a gauge of how much they're selling. They'll just turn them on and then turn them off again. So last year in 2024, they went on sale, I believe, 3 separate occasions: January, springtime, and then fall, winter-ish timeframe, November.
I feel like every single time they started offering the keys, like the higher and higher chance that you would be of getting one. Because I feel like the demand kind of went down a little bit.
From what we can see, I believe you're right. Demand has dropped, or they've expanded, they've increased the volume, which means they can sell more. So again, this time last year in January, they sold out in a day. for most keys. I believe one key was there, the top tier key was there for like 2 or 3 days. That's when we bought ours. That was a mad house. Like things were crashing. The only reason we got in was because a friend sent us a link, a direct link.
Yeah. And we had to wait for like multiple hours.
Yes. So we sat there and we're refreshing. We couldn't get through. And then someone on Instagram shot us a message and said, hey, use this link. And it got us through. Huge shout out to her. But yeah, it was wild. So anyways, that was January. Now fast forward to spring and fall. They were available for like days, weeks, even like a month. They were up for sale. So you never know how they're going to go. So sorry, that's a long way of saying we don't know if this is going to be a one-day thing or multiple days. Let's go over them really quick just to review the options. You've got the Imagine Key, which is for SoCal residents only. That's $599. The joke is you can imagine going to the parks because there's so many blockout dates.
Yeah, it's basically, again, as Keila mentioned, if you're a SoCal resident and you want to go random dates during the week, that's perfect for you.
Yeah, exactly. The keyword is during the week and then like not during major holidays, summer. But if you're local, that's probably when you want to avoid it anyways. So I wouldn't blame you if you got that key. The Enchant Key is $974. This has major blackout dates in the summer, almost every single Saturday of the year. And
holiday times,
exactly. Yeah. So pretty heavy on the blackout dates. The Believe Key is what we actually have this year. This is $1,374. Again, blackout dates are usually some in the summertime, I think around July, and then the major holidays. So some Saturdays during like Christmas time, Thanksgiving time, and so forth.
Usually
Halloween.
the last half of the year, a lot of the Saturdays are kind of blocked out.
And then finally, the Inspire Key. This used to be the unlimited key, but they've since added some blockout dates, very few, like 2 weeks worth. This is $1,749, nearly $2,000. And this gets you into the park, again, like I said, every day of the year except for, I think, the week of Christmas and the week of New Year's.
Gotcha.
If I'm not mistaken.
I think.
So that's what we're looking at. We'll see how long they last. If you're planning on getting one, let us know. We'd love to hear what your experience is. Good luck to you. This can be pretty competitive. Again, make sure you're there in the virtual queue at 9 a.m. on Wednesday, the 22nd.
All right, for our final news story, we have some spooky but exciting news. The Haunted Mansion, the OG Haunted Mansion, has finally opened up. I think it's been a year and a half, right?
It's been a long time. It has been the holiday overlay for a long, long time.
Yeah, because then it was down for like the refurb and just the whole
thing.
So
technically, it was like over a year of just holiday.
Yeah.
Just with how the timing lined up with the refurb. So pretty wild stuff. It is back as of like a day or two ago, as of the day you're listening to this. It's big news because not only is it back, the OG overlay, but also there's a new bride. So Constance Hatchaway is what we had for years. That was the bride with the axe and the really bad projection on the face, like the egg face.
Oh, yeah.
It's pretty bad. I think this was released back in the early 2000s, and that projection technology has just gotten a lot better. And so back then it was really good, but now it's aged pretty poorly. So they've replaced it with the kind of original bride. It's the beating heart. So she looks really good. The projection is way better, way higher tech, and just better looking.
Way spookier, if I must say myself.
Yes.
If I must say so myself.
Yes, and they've taken away the whole, like I mentioned, the storyline of like the bride eliminating her husbands with an axe.
Yeah.
The pictures used to show her with one husband, and when you'd pass by, the head would disappear, and so on and so forth. About 4 or 5 pictures. Those have all been replaced with pictures of the entire husband, their whole body disappearing. So again, I don't know the true story of like if they befall like a certain peril, like if they're all just dying on her.
No.
And yes, I think that's what it is. She's supposed to be like, she is supposed to be very sad. She's not.
Oh my gosh,
yes.
I had this whole thing wrong.
No.
I thought she was doing it.
No. From this storyline, the original one, it's just these people are meeting their untimely ends, and she's just unfortunately going through husbands like water.
What does the axe have to do with anything?
There's no axe anymore.
Oh, no, I meant like the OG storyline. That's what was happening, right? That's how that she was.
No, Constance Hatchaway was not the original.
Oh.
That was an addition in 2000,
oh
2003 or 4. Or
okay,
like
wow. I'm so
Yes.
wrong.
So this is built back in the 60s, 70s.
Yeah.
This is the original storyline. These husbands were just dying on her.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Okay, wow.
Okay.
No.
Now you learned something.
I need to listen to more of our friends' episodes.
Yeah, I know.
Mansion.
Make it magical if you could give us a 101.
I'm sorry.
So what do you think about it? Look up a video or something. We actually just missed it. We left on the 18th on our last trip, and it opened up on the 18th. So we just barely missed it. I guess we could have gone in the morning, but we did something else instead. So let us know. We saw some videos and pictures on Instagram. We think it looks pretty good from what we're seeing. Let us know your thoughts on the new bride. All right, and that brings us to our main segment of this week's episode, and that is Disneyland trip prep.
Yes.
Prepping and packing, everyone's favorite thing to do. As much as I want to talk about the trip, we should probably start with how we prep and pack, which is like the lamest thing in the world.
A couple tips along the way, though.
Yeah, we've got some tips. Caitlin is the master packer for us now. Back in the day, pre-Maddie, if you're new to the show, we have a 1-year-old. Pre-Madison, I was kind of the packer. I was the one that like put everything together.
I mean, you didn't pack my clothes or anything
No.
like that.
I was like, Caitlin, lay your clothes out. I'm going to put them in the suitcase for you.
You did everything else.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I did most of the preparation and packing. Now that Maddie's here, I think it's kind of flipped.
Mm-hmm.
Like you do 80% of it and I come in and like do the final touches or something.
Yeah.
I handle tech and like our suitcase. Like I'll kind of manage. Yeah. Yes. Again, Caitlin doesn't pack my clothes.
I basically do like all of the toiletries for us, my clothes, and everything for Maddie.
Yeah, you do 100% Maddie.
Yeah.
Because you know the ins and outs of that girl's room. You have it organized. I'll go in there and I'll be like, where'd you move this? Because you've moved it. And you'll be like, it's not as efficient. I've moved the bows to the left quadrant of the drawer.
But hey, you have to admit, every time you're like, hey, where's this in the suitcase? I'd be like, it's in the bottom left corner.
That's true. That's true. It's pretty accurate. So that's what we should talk about because hopefully you're planning a trip soon, either to Disneyland, Disney World, Disney Cruise. Hopefully this helps you prioritize things to bring and maybe leave at home. We're going to talk about things that we brought and loved, things that we brought and were a total waste of space, and things that we wish we brought on this trip. We won't exhaust you with everything. We just want to talk about the highlights, the things that kind of were top of mind when we got back from this trip and we thought were worth mentioning. Yeah, I'm not going to tell you like, I brought my pants and I loved having pants on this trip.
Can you imagine if we did? Everyone would be like, no.
Yeah. So let's get into it. Let's talk about it. And hopefully this helps you on your next trip.
Let's do it.
Okay, number 1, let's talk about useful items, things we brought and found useful. Let's keep this in mind. Let's start this off. We went in January of 2025, so it was chilly. So keep that in mind. This is not a July trip. This is not an August trip where it's 110 degrees in the surface of the sun. This was pretty chilly.
Yeah. So normally, like, okay, for going into this trip, I look at the weather and I go, okay, it's going to be in the 60s. There was one day that it was, I think, 70 degrees, 71 maybe.
No, I think real feel. It was like 68 with a real feel of 70.
Because you always have to add at least 3 degrees down in Anaheim because of the UV index and just the humidity, so on and so forth. So Caleb was looking at the weather and he's like, no, it's going to be warm. Like it's high 60s. It's going to be hot. And I'm like, I don't know. Like I think we just bring sweatshirts.
I don't think I said hot. I just said it will be warmer than you think. And I said, don't
bring t-shirts.
Don't bundle up. I said, bring teachers as an option.
Teachers.
Bring teachers. They'll be helpful. Bring t-shirts.
So I think we can say, if I can speak for both of us, that we were pleasantly surprised on how chilly it was.
Yes, I will say, I'll give myself credit. There was one day where the sun was rather warm and we were sweating, waiting to get into the...
Caleb was sweating.
No. And you were like, you literally looked at me and said, this is ridiculous. It's warm outside. I was promised cold weather.
I did not. Don't lie to them.
No, you did say I was expecting it to be cooler and it was pretty warm for about 3 hours there and then it did get chilly. So
yes.
Come on. I was right like 30%.
Yeah, that day was a little bit interesting because it was like Caleb mentioned, it was a little warm in the morning. Again, we were still in long sleeves and I was totally fine with that. I didn't need to change or anything.
But I think the guys, like I had to take my sweatshirt off for half the day.
Right when like the afternoon hit, it's like the weather just started tanking. It was like so quick. And by the night, it was literally freezing.
Yes. All right. Let's not get into it too much. We're talking about this next week.
Okay.
We can't give too much away.
Okay.
All right. Useful items. Number 1, sweatshirts. This may be like a dumb moment, but take it from me. I'm the one that thought like, I don't even know if I'll need one during the day. I'll probably just throw one at night. I totally needed one 80% of the time.
Right.
During the day and nighttime.
Next, closely follow sweatshirts. It's blankets for little ones. Again, it might be like a duh moment, but a lot of times those get left behind. I've watched plenty of videos where I'm like, oh, I should have brought that for my little one.
Not gonna lie, I'm guilty of it. I'm the one we're both a little germophobic, germophobia, whatever you want to say. And so sometimes I'm like, no, don't bring her blankets. That's disgusting. If it drops on the floor, I don't want to be dragging germs with us and her putting her face all over it. But I'm so glad Caitlin brought it because there was a night where
Freezing.
I was cold, and I'm very, very rarely cold. And I could just imagine Caitlin had layered this girl. Maddie had like 4 layers on his little puffer jacket and then a blanket on top. She looked like a little.
She was so cozy.
She was very cozy.
We'll get into that later. Next up is another, I would say it's a fan favorite now, but it was new to us. I purchased these. They're called silicone toy straps, and basically what they are, you can get them on Amazon. I can link them for you, or just reach out to us if you want them directly.
Yeah, sorry, really quick. I'll try and link most of these things, like the things that are unique, in the episode description.
Okay.
And if they're not there, reach out to us on Instagram.
Okay. So basically what these are is they come in like different shapes and sizes for different objects for little ones. Like there's one that you can put like a sippy cup or a bottle around or a toy, so on and so forth. But basically what it is it's you attach it, you loop it through this hole and it's silicone. So it basically holds on so that no one can break it off kind of thing. And what I did with the other end is I put it around, like Maddie picked out, spoiler, she picked out this Moana doll that she was obsessed with. I strapped it around that and had it attached to the stroller so it wouldn't fall out. Sometimes she likes to throw her toys. Everyone knows kids. They think it's funny to throw everything out of the stroller. That thing was locked down and it saved us so many times because a lot of times Caleb and I were talking, she could just kick her shoe off and then it's gone. So it was nice knowing like a snack container or the doll or whatever toy it is was kind of securely attached to the stroller.
Yes, I love this. The thought of her either losing something or it getting, stepped on and stuff in the park was gross to me. So I'm happy we had these because they came in clutch.
Right.
A lot of the times. Next up was the Tush Baby and Carrier. So
yes.
Tush Baby is that thing that you can wrap around. It looks like a fanny pack. You wrap it around your midsection and it has a little built-in seat for your little one.
Amazing.
Freaking awesome. This one we have the, I think it's called like the light version or the mini version. It's a little slimmer. The OG one, the original, is a much thicker band.
It's like an older kiddo.
Larger seat. Yes, I think we'll need to get that eventually, but our minds went to, if it was warm out, I want as little fabric on me as possible.
Because it does get very hot.
And get pretty warm with a little one. So this one was amazing. If she was kind of getting tired of the stroller and we wanted to walk around kind of sans stroller, this came in super handy because our arms could last throughout the day. And then the Carrier, Caitlin would throw on for her first nap of the day. She's still on 2 naps. And so we try and stay in the park for the first one and then go back for the second. And the Carrier made that happen. So she likes to sleep on Caitlin. She will not fall asleep in the stroller. And so this came in clutch.
Yeah.
So she'd just lay there and like 15 minutes later,
like immediate. She's like out.
Conked out.
Which I'm very appreciative for.
Yeah. So those came in handy. Next up, sunglasses. Again, another like, okay, it's the sun. You should bring sunglasses. But it's that time of year. You all know it well. In January, February timeframe where the sun never really gets to the top of the sky. It just goes right in eye level the entire day.
Yeah.
And barely gets above the horizon and is just burning your corneas. So that's what happened on this trip. So I'm very happy we brought sunglasses.
Yeah, normally it doesn't really bother me, but for whatever reason, this trip, it was like in my eyes the entire time.
Entire flipping time.
Like either needed a hat on 24/7 or sunglasses for sure. So
yes.
Definitely keep that in mind because it's always something that gets accidentally left at home. Next up, as Caleb mentioned, we are germaphobes, like we've said probably a zillion times on this podcast. But I wanted to talk about our favorite, like kind of, what are they called? Sanitizing wipes.
Yeah, they're the honest ones.
Yes. So there's other ones that we use, but these are kind of more friendly for kiddos. You can use them on their hands and stuff.
Yeah. So the honest alcohol wipes.
Yes. So again, it's not going to be as powerful as the Clorox, but we kind of want one that's more friendly to wipe her hands with if she's touching a bunch of dirty stuff or getting off rides. I love these. They're very light and they don't have a strong smell, which I'm very what's the word? I'm forgetting.
Sensitive?
I'm very sensitive to like the Clorox wipes one. They literally give me a headache.
Well,
and
the
they
smell
just linger.
lingers for a long time and it gets very old after a while. So these are handy for, again, anything that Maddie's touching, we'll use these wipes.
Yeah.
And then for like, if there's something in the hotel that's really gross or something, we'll use actual Clorox wipes.
You can get a 3-pack of them at Target, and we highly recommend. Also, along the lines of that, there is the high chair cover. We didn't use this a ton. It was only when we did sit-down dining. But again, there was multiple times, and even at home, we will wipe. I will wipe the high chair down with the sanitizing wipes. I cannot tell you how disgusting the ones at Disneyland were.
They are filthy. We went to,
gross.
Again, another spoiler. We went to Naples. And we'll tell you more about that next week. But That one was covered in dried up food.
And it was brown, like on the wipe.
Yes, so when I wiped it up, it was brown and black, and I went through like 4 or 5 wipes. So that thing hasn't been cleaned like ever.
And again, I know once she's older, I'm not going to obviously make her use that when she's an older kid. But like for right now, I'm like, she's putting everything in her mouth. So I'm like, no, can't do. So it was nice just to have those handy, you know?
Yes, and the high chair cover goes over it. So we would wipe it down, and then this fabric high chair cover, you
It's
kind
just
of,
nice.
yeah, put over it so she's not really having skin contact.
Plus, less mess because I always feel bad for like the servers and like the cleanup
Yes,
crew because
yeah.
she like drops food everywhere.
Yeah.
Like the high chair cover kind of like traps all that in. So that's nice.
Next up is a stroller hook. Caitlin bought this one. It's like a Mickey Mouse shaped one from, where'd you get it from? Nordstrom or something?
Nordstrom has
Amazon.
it. Amazon has it. It's the Petunia pickle bottom one.
Okay, Petunia Pickleball.
Yeah.
Petunia Pickleball. Sounds like something, what's Dick Van Dyke says in
Mary Poppins.
Mary Poppins,
I
yeah.
love that movie. This was just really handy for when you did buy merch, which we will get into. A lot of that happened on this trip. The travel stroller we have doesn't have a ton of room in the basket underneath. So having a hook that you can just put that on, you can put water bottles on, you can put popcorn buckets on, super handy and super light.
Yeah, actually, let's talk about, I didn't have it on the list originally. Let's talk about a travel stroller.
Okay.
I think that's worth mentioning.
Yeah.
It's a must have, I think, for these trips. We contemplated bringing our like main stroller. This is the big one. It's very heavy duty, very nice and expensive. This was a gift from actually Caitlin's work gifted this to her for her, what do you call it?
The baby shower.
Shower, yes. So very kind, and we did not want to ruin it. So we went to go buy a travel thing for it, which like insures it, right? Gives it a warranty. If it breaks while traveling, they'll replace it. It was $200 for this bag, and it was basically a glorified backpack for your stroller. So we quickly crossed that off the list. We were not going to leave our home with this very expensive stroller.
Mm-hmm.
So we bought a travel stroller. It's like an Ergo Baby something. It's great. It's I think affordable compared to a lot of the others.
Mm-hmm.
It has like metal construction. It's very heavy duty. It has one-handed, what do you call it? Collapsible with
thing.
one hand.
Yeah.
And also you can kind of raise it up with like, I'd say one hand-ish. So I think travel strollers are a must for the parks because they're a lot easier to navigate with. You can travel with them easier. You can put them in the overhead compartment in a plane if you're traveling by air.
Yeah, and a lot of things that are one major reason that we do love the travel stroller is, again, a lot of times at Disney you have to collapse the strollers when you're getting on, like, let's say like the monorail or so on and so forth, or the tram, even more so in like Walt Disney World. So having something that's really light, or if you're by yourself, or if your partner has their hands full, that you can just collapse that stroller with one flick, like it's really nice.
Yes, instead of a full size where you're like messing with different clips.
And it's gigantic.
Yeah.
And again, you do lose space, but I think the pros outweigh the cons.
Yes, for sure. Next up are these disposable diaper pail things that Caitlin buys. I think it's the Munchkin brand.
Yes, which we've mentioned before. We love these.
Love these things. So you can also ask, most hotels, I think, have like diaper genies on hand. Kind of gross, honestly, in my head. A lot of disgusting things happening there. And then also they don't really seal the smell that well.
They don't. Mm-mm.
And then also you can just throw them in a trash can, but you're also dealing with the disgusting smell of that. So these things are amazing. They actually seal all together. Again, we'll link them. They're worth the money.
Pretty inexpensive as well.
Throw them away.
Mm-hmm.
They're amazing.
All right, next up we have just bring a suitcase with extra space. And that sounds like a duh moment. But again, in times where you're packing, I'm the queen of just taking advantage of every space, or I guess inch of space in your suitcase and not leaving any room for merch. And Caleb's always like, hey, are you going to buy something? And I'm like, oh yeah.
Because we can't bring it home if you do.
So basically leave room. Just again, take out an extra sweatshirt, take out a pair of shoes, whatever it is, just leave a little bit of room.
Yeah, or use a slightly larger suitcase. So if you're flying Southwest, let's say, you can check 2 bags per person for free, which is pretty awesome. Take advantage of that. Maybe use a larger suitcase than you originally intended and leave some room for that merchandise, because it can get bulky. You know, Maddie came home with a blanket and
a ton
plushes, and you name it, she got it, and that takes up a lot of room.
I think one way I get around it though is I don't really have a carry-on anymore because it's just the diaper bag. So I just take one of the large like Disney Parks bags that they give you when you buy something, and I just put all the merch in that, and I literally just hold it.
Yep.
So
it works.
Whatever works for you, do it.
All right, this is kind of some of my stuff, some of my travel stuff. Let's start off with a camera bag. So even if you're not a photographer, if you buy a padded camera backpack on Amazon, it is fantastic for storing your tech. So you can put your iPad in there. If you bring your iPad, if you bring your MacBook or something, throw it in there. Phone chargers, you name it. Again, if you don't bring a camera, don't think of it as a camera bag. Think of it as a tech bag. And then also on mine, there's like a pouch on top that I can help with Maddie's stuff. I can throw in there some snacks, medicine, all that good stuff. So a nice camera backpack comes in handy at the parks. Next up is a Christmas gift Caitlin got for me. This is an Anchor wireless charger. Let me tell you, this has changed my life both at home and on the road. It is this little cube thing. Again, I'll link it. And it has 3 different charge stations, basically wireless charging stations for all your tech. So I've got the trifecta, the Apple trifecta. You've got your iPhone, you got your AirPod Pros, and your Apple Watch. This thing charges all of them at the same time magnetically, and it is awesome. It's one cord. No more bringing 4 or 5 different crazy USB-C, Lightning, whatever. It's all one thing, and it is so stinking nice. So it's just one very small thing you can throw in a bag, and you're done. So this came in handy, and I love it, and I use it at home as well, so it can second as a travel thing and a little home charging base. Next up is the phone soap. Again, we've mentioned that we're slightly germaphobes, and this thing is basically a traveling UV cleaner. Let me spit this out. UV cleaner.
Yeah.
Opens up, you put your phone in there, close it up, and 10 minutes later, it is clean of germs. And you know how many times you touch your phone after touching something disgusting? Fun fact, your phone is actually your phone is the dirtiest thing you touch every day.
Mm-hmm.
That beats out cash. It beats out like pens at the bank.
Mm-hmm.
Who goes to the bank anymore, honestly? I was a teller in my early days.
We
Very rarely.
Very rarely.
Don't act like I'm going in like, can I get a checkbook, please?
There's nothing wrong with checks.
Caitlin's like, how much would that be at, storytellers? Oh, okay.
Okay. I'm like, do you accept checks? They're like, no. I'm like, okay.
How about traveler's checks? Cashier's checks. Okay. And then finally, a case of water. So
yes.
We used to not do this ever. And now that we have a child, we kind of need to do it. But we do a grocery order and have it delivered to the hotel before we arrive. And we finally, instead of being the goofy goobers we were before, spending $4.50 on a bottle of water in the parks, we just ordered a big old thing at Crystal Geyser, had it delivered for $5 or $6, and that was our water for the week.
Well, because when you think about it, if you're anything like us at night, you're wanting something to drink after you've been at the parks, or in the morning, you're like, oh my gosh, my mouth is dry, I need something. Our little one loves water. So just having this on hand and not being like, oh my gosh, we have to go downstairs to get something. We have to run to the park to go, whatever it is. Why are you laughing?
I like how you made Maddie is a fan of water, let me tell you. The thing she needs to live.
This girl chugs. She loves water. She's so us.
Yeah. All right. Next up, let's talk about the things that we thought were a waste of space, things we brought that we didn't use, or if we did, we were like, I don't know why I brought this.
Yeah. First of all, I'll go first, I guess. Caleb's staring at me like, go ahead.
Okay.
Okay. So first up, I have changing pads down. If you listen to our trip report back in May, I told you how disgustingly gross the changing tables are inside the Disneyland bathrooms. If you go into the baby care centers, they're great. Sometimes they're super packed, and so you're like, I'm not going to sit here for 10 minutes waiting. The bathroom ones are gross. There was pee all over the one that we went to, and they're just not well kept.
I actually heard a mom complaining about this to her husband at lunch or dinner somewhere.
Oh, really?
She came with her kid and was like, that changing thing was disgusting.
They're disgusting.
Yeah.
So we have these little changing pads actually from our trip in May that I have left over. So I brought them because, again, you never know when you have to use them in the plane. And again, everyone was like, try your hardest to not use the plane bathrooms because they're disgusting. But obviously, if certain things happen, we obviously have to change a diaper. So at the park, I'm like, okay, I need to bring these. I need to make sure we have them on hand. I never used.
We didn't use them.
No, because I just changed her in the stroller.
Yes. Which I'm glad you were prepared, but they're very chunky. And so we brought them. And
I only brought like a handful,
yeah.
But they just stayed in the suitcase. So they weren't necessary. Next up, we have a stroller fan. Again, it was way too chilly to have a fan on Maddie, but we brought it just in case because for our trip in, what was it? When did we go to
May.
Disney World? No, November. So incredibly hot. So we've almost have it ingrained in our brain to always bring the fan for Maddie. And again, they just come in handy when you're in line. So definitely did not need that.
Next up were t-shirts. Caitlin wanted me to put this. I wore a t-shirt every day with a sweatshirt over it. Caitlin acted like we were in the Arctic and had like a long sleeve on, a sweatshirt, and then a jacket over her. She acted like it was freezing. It was not.
Oh, it took up space.
So yes, she brought like 4 t-shirts and I'm like, whoa, that extra 2 cubic inches of space could have really been handy. So t-shirts, I guess, were a waste of space for Caitlin. And then we also brought way too many snacks for Maddie. we had in our brains that she would be very picky and would not want to eat anything from Disneyland. Boy, were we wrong.
She loved everything we gave her.
She loved it all. And it was all great junk food. I'm sure she loved all of it. She had like mac and cheese from Flo's. She had
it's a ton of different stuff.
Yeah, eggs. In the morning she was chowing down on eggs with us and all this stuff. So we just had it in our brains that we needed to bring half of our pantry for Maddie. We used 12% of it maybe.
Yeah, which is great.
Yeah,
That's
and
awesome.
brought back a ton of food. So not a big deal, but just we probably could have used that space for something else.
Definitely always bring snacks though. If you have little ones, we're not saying don't bring snacks.
Yeah,
just don't bring as much.
We brought
as
like meal replacement snacks
just
that we
in
did not
case.
need. Okay, next up and finally is our wish list. Things we wish we brought but didn't and we could have used.
Yeah, so I'm going to start this off with next time I really want to purchase one of those hanging toiletry bags. And if any of you have one of those that you really like, please let me know where you found it and what it's called. I noticed this trip, especially with 3 people being in one room, a lot of the bathroom counter areas was very convoluted and just chaotic. Like there was bags everywhere. There was Maddie's hair stuff. There was our toiletries. So I would love to have something where I can have majority of it in like one central location rather than having like Caleb's toiletry bag, my toiletry bag, all of Maddie's stuff, and then just so on and so forth, just to kind of keep it more tidy.
I love it.
Okay.
I love it. You're very passionate about this. I want to get as excited.
Yeah. I mean, I thought you would be.
I love it. Okay. Let's move on to a jacket to layer. Caitlin really brought, she wished she brought a jacket to layer with her sweatshirt and stuff. Because again, I will admit, closer to the end of the night, it got pretty dang chilly and a little, breeze would pick up and it made it pretty cold. So if you're going to the parks in January, February timeframe, maybe bring an extra jacket. So you can throw it on.
Yes.
All right. Next up is a snack tray for our travel stroller.
Yes.
We don't have one. We have a little like bar thing that keeps her in. I don't know what you call those things, but there's a little bar, but there's nothing to put snacks on.
Right.
And this could have been really handy because there were moments when Maddie was getting a little cranky, a little tired, or a little hungry. And it would have been nice instead of having to stop the entire production, we're walking somewhere and, take time to feed her. It would have been nice just to have somewhere to like put some puffs on there and she can kind of snack.
Yeah,
while we
and
walk.
we have like the little silicone ones you can stick their fists through and grab. Like she knows how to use all that. That's great, but we're not at the point where I can give her like a Ziploc filled of Cheerios.
No, and
yet.
she's prone to throwing stuff, so that would have been all over the floor.
And so we would just So having a snack tray would eliminate a lot of that.
She's a stinker, that one. Next up, it's going to sound like a little kid answer, but I'm just being honest. Some sweet treats for Kayla.
No, this is a valuable point.
Okay, because Disneyland has taken away a lot of gluten-free options. We'll talk about that next week, unfortunately. And one of these things they've never really had great options for are desserts.
And now they're like non-existent.
Non-existent. So I can pretty much have ice cream at the parks, and that's it.
Mm-hmm. Unless you kind of want to go through like the possible cross-contamination, which he cannot do. So.
Yeah, so it's not worth the risk to me. So I luckily brought like 2 granola bars that I snacked on at night.
Which, if you guys follow us on Instagram.
Yeah, you saw one of them because it was a pretty sad moment in my life, but it was necessary.
It was not a sad moment.
I needed some sugar, and I needed it now.
You're sitting in the villas eating a granola bar. Poor you. Oh my
But you know what I mean? I was like, this is so sad. So anyways, eating my granola bars, and I brought some, Caitlin packed me some, I don't even know what they were, little bar things that were really good. So those held me over, but I would love to be able to bite into like a gluten-free cake or cupcake or something. Walt Disney World, I will tell you, has way more options when it comes to gluten-free treats.
Mm-hmm.
So Disneyland needs to step up their game. You'd think they'd be really good being in Southern California, kind of being more aware of like allergy stuff.
You would
but
think.
Not really. Okay, and then last but not least, a poncho. Because we really wanted to ride Tiana's. And again, spoiler, I don't want to spoil too much, but we did not go on Tiana's.
We were spooked because of a certain interaction.
Yes, we were told that basically you would get soaked and it's not worth it if you don't have a poncho. I did not have one on hand. And again, being freezing plus not having a poncho, that did not sound like a good night. And I only brought 1 pair of shoes, and so that would have ruined the next day.
Yeah.
There's all these logistics.
We'll be going again soon, so we're on it then.
So we skipped out on it this time, but I really wish I would have bought a poncho, because if you don't, you're stuck paying like $18 for a Disneyland one, and I didn't feel like spending $20
I mean, they're
to ride
pretty
a ride.
cute.
Yeah, they're fun. We used to hold on to them, but then they started smelling really bad.
Yeah, which makes sense because they're wet.
So you get these things real soaked, and you put them in an airtight compartment, they start to smell. So that's that's our prep and pack thing. Hopefully that helps you. I felt like that was like a meandering long list. Hopefully it didn't feel like that to you.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that's what we did. Hopefully you learn from our mistakes, and hopefully you gain some knowledge from us on things we brought and thought were handy.
Yeah.
All right. Let's plan another trip.
Well, we are planning another one currently.
Yeah.
And we're so excited for next week to go over our trip report with you guys. So definitely stay tuned. It was one of the, and I'm speaking for all of us, correct me if I'm wrong. It was one of the best trips that we've ever had. It was so magical and just full of total, complete happiness and pixie dust and just everything.
It was.
I loved it.
All right, ditto. Thank you so much for listening. You can find us over on Instagram and Threads at Market House Podcast. Make sure to follow us over there for pictures from the park and exciting news and announcements. Consider leaving a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, both a huge, huge help to the show. We have a Patreon, markethousepodcast.com/support is where you can find it, and we would love if you joined us over there. Remember to use our Getaway Today link for your future trip bookings. Check out the episode details for that link and use code MarketHouse10 to save an additional $10 off your vacation. Join us next week for another episode. It's been fun. It's been grand. It's been filled with Mickey waffles, syrup, and
Ponchos.
Bye.